you got to be able to fire people. I mean, anybody that's a manager, business owner, anybody that's in charge of people understands this. Almost one of the first things you learn. And if you can't do that, they will overtake whatever operation you run and you will be miserable. You have to understand this. And yet somehow the president can't fire somebody in the executive level branch. Huh? I promised myself when I started doing the podcast, I wouldn't do stories like Supreme Court decisions and let's talk to legal experts and let God almighty. If this podcast ever becomes that, just roll me out to the lake and let me get eaten by alligators. I'll never do that to you. But there's always an exception. This decision, this argument by one of our Supreme Court justices yesterday was chilling. It was so stunning. It was chilling as she made an argument that the president can't fire somebody that deems him or herself an expert. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it answers so many questions. If you've ever wondered why Washington is such a mess, why we call it the swamp, why nothing gets done, why these people run for president with all these campaign promises and they're great people and they can lead and take charge, why nothing happens and why they get compromised when they get into that position, this is exactly why. That's why we're talking about it. And a takeaway for real life, too. You have to be able to fire whoever you need to. Anyway, that'll be the feature story. Also some news, got some good news about gas prices. And the internet is telling me it's National Christmas Card Day. What? Is that still a thing? I don't know. I'm not the best person to talk about this, actually, because I've never actually sent one. But anyway, thanks for finding the Wicked Radio live stream. If you're listening later, it's not actually a live stream. It's the replay and audio podcast, too. Every single channel where you like to go on the internet, you're going to find this. And thanks for finding me. Let's get right to it. All right, yesterday's decision. And again, this is a rarity. I don't think it's ever going to happen again. I never thought it would. The feature story today is about a Supreme Court justice and a decision. Now, I'm not going to be one of those guys that gets into the legalities of it. First of all, I don't have the expertise. I'll give you the long and short of what's going on. First of all, there's an argument before the Supreme Court right now, big one, about whether or not the president, the chief executive officer of our country, the leader of the free world, has the ability to fire someone in his, well, not administration directly, but someone in his charge that he wants to fire. This is an actual argument. Now, if you run a Wendy's, if you're a manager of a restaurant, if you're anything, you understand you have to have, first and foremost, the ability to pick your people and your staff. But somehow, some way, not the president. Right? So the good news is, and this actually is good news, that this is being argued right now because it's that important that the president, should be able to do this. But what Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson argued yesterday on the Supreme Court was, like I said this in the introduction, I'm not trying to hype this up. I'm not. This was so stunning, it chilled me. That, first of all, somebody like this is on the Supreme Court, because I think we got a real problem here. I think we have an activist judge. We've had him before. Maybe there's others too. Not as bad as this. But her argument is just, it's unreal to, and they always have the audio. It's public information, so they have the audio you can play. I'll play the audio and I don't know. Believe it or not, this applies to all of us, too, in life, too. This is her argument about why experts, remember that expert class? We learned all about them during COVID. The experts can't be fired by the president. This is why Washington, D.C. is a mess.
Some issues, some matters, some areas should be handled in this way by nonpartisan experts. That Congress is saying that expertise matters with respect to aspects of the economy and transportation and the various independent agencies that we have. So having a president come in and fire all the scientists and the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replacing them with loyalists and people who don't know anything is actually not in the best interest of the citizens of the United States. These issues should not be in presidential control.
Oh, boy. It takes you a couple of times to hear that. I won't play it again, but it takes you a couple of times to realize exactly my word for it, how chilling that actually is. So what she's saying is a couple of different things. Start at the end first. So people that the president would bring in around him are, in her eyes, because it's this president, it's playing politics here, are people that don't know anything and they're just loyalists. Okay. But let's talk about these experts. Who are these? And I'm using finger quotes here. Who are these experts she's talking about? Oh, those experts. You know them, don't you? You remember we heard all about the experts. What were we all told? I was told this personally in broadcasting. You were probably told this by your workplace. You were probably told this by maybe family members or your favorite news outlets. Just listen to the experts. Let the experts run the country. This is all about the experts. It was one of those propaganda lines that they all said the exact same way during COVID. Remember that? Not to take you back too far into COVID, but there was a lot of lessons to be learned. The experts. Who are these experts she's talking about? Who are these bureaucrats, unelected experts that wind up running our lives? Well, they are the Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Stanford eggheads that work in think tanks, and they sit on committees, and then they make more political friends, and they wind up being appointed. These are the actual loyalists. These are the loyalists that she was talking about, but she didn't refer to them as that. And they wind up running your life. Same people who have never, economist experts, never ran a business, never responsible for a payroll, never started anything, not entrepreneurs, but now once you get that expert tag on you, now they're experts, and in her eyes can't be fired. Who are the other experts? The eggheads who have never lived in real life, never went to a bowling alley because they're elite upper class, never turned a wrench, never built anything with their hands. These are the experts that she says, in the chilling kind of way, are unfireable at that level in D.C. This explains so much. This explains many things. First and foremost, like I said, why Washington, D.C. is a mess, because it's overtaken by career bureaucrat, quote-unquote, experts who want to run the country and run your life. We saw a real-life example during COVID and exactly what those experts are capable of. They will take away your rights. They'll shut down your business. They'll keep your kids out of school because they're in a bubble. They're protected from it. They don't give a damn about you, me, or anybody else. And they always think they know better because they've been told their whole lives that they know better. And now you have a Supreme Court justice who's making an argument that says those experts cannot be fired. Well, let me tell you something. Like I said, if you're a manager, business owner, anybody, you have to have the ability to fire whoever the hell you want. You have to. You just have to. Because if you don't, and if you don't have that ability, and if you don't learn that lesson, and no, it's not fun, but if you don't have that ability to get rid of people who aren't serving your leadership needs, sorry, it's the way it goes, or aren't simpatico with where you want to go with an organization, you got to get rid of them. You just have to. You have to have the balls and the guts to be able to do it. Otherwise, they take over. And they pick you out and they knock you off and you'll be the one gone. You have to have that ability. Now that's you and me and everybody else in our lives. Imagine a president, the leader of the free world, who doesn't have the ability to fire someone around him in this swamp of Washington, D.C., even in the executive branch, that doesn't serve the president's needs. Nope. I'm a bureaucratic expert. I can't be fired. That's a problem. That's why this case is so big. Normally, I wouldn't bore you with Supreme Court cases, but this is a big one, a real big one. There's another takeaway on this, and this is important too, I think. I've heard it said before for a lot of legal experts that look into this kind of thing. Some of them have made Supreme Court arguments, have been in that position to argue before justices, and they've said something about this Ketanji Brown Jackson before, that I've heard her called a DEI hire. She's incompetent. She's an activist. Fair question. Anybody that makes that argument now, you have to ask that question. Why? Boy. Ooh. And she's young. She's going to be there a long, long time. And she obviously is an advocate for that bureaucratic class. That's a problem. So let's hope cooler heads prevail here. But the takeaway is, in real life, for you and me and everybody else, you got to be able to fire people. You have to have that power no matter where you are. And don't, this is a bit of a stretch, but this does matter to you and me in our personal lives and businesses too, because if they make this decision that people who all of a sudden call themselves experts can't be fired, eventually someone could make the argument that you can't fire him because all of a sudden they put expert in the business card. Even if you're a manager or a operations director or a small business owner. Could happen. It's an important argument. You got to be able to fire people. Speaking of incompetence, let's go to the news now. Remember this beauty? Remember the police chief of Washington, D.C., who didn't know what this particular term was? More on her.
What the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So at the executive...
What's the chain of command? What does that mean? Here's the story, the police chief of one of our major American cities, Washington, D.C. again. Her name is Pamela Smith, and she has resigned from that position. That was my favorite thing. That story was from when the National Guard took over D.C. because the crime was so bad on the streets, and it was the big controversy. And one of the street interviews, the reporter asked her, well, okay, then what's the chain of command? What's that mean? Well, she resigned. But it's not... Did she resign just because she was of retirement age? No, she looks pretty young. Did she resign because she got a better job? She's going to be, another bureaucrat expert somewhere and maybe in L.A.? No, that wasn't it. What is going on in Washington, D.C. now that coincides with her resigning? Well, you may not have heard of this one, but there is a major investigation underway on the district fudging their crime statistics. There's the least shocking news of all time. So there's an investigation underway of fraudulent crime statistics coinciding with the police chief resigning. Now, if you're somebody like me that has learned not to believe in coincidences, that should raise a red flag and a couple of eyebrows for you, because that's pretty interesting. And it also proves exactly what everybody with common sense was saying when the National Guard took over. What was the common line? What did they push on us? What did the fake news push on you? President Trump insists on sending the National Guard to Washington, D.C. And that was the first city they sent it to. And then there were others, obviously. Sending the Guard to National D.C. despite crime stats being down. Safest the city's been in decades. Did anybody believe that line of horse crap? No, they did not. Because it didn't jive. We also, even if you didn't go to D.C. a lot and saw it personally, you saw the street-level videos from independent investigators. You saw the crime. You saw the interviews with residents saying, I can't even walk to school, safely. Real people who live there were talking about how unsafe that city has become in its history, the unsafest. And yet you've got officials and talking head news people telling you, Washington, D.C. has never been safer. Nothing really jived there. There was something off. And lo and behold, now you've got an investigation into them lying about the crime statistics, as we all knew. Just use your common sense on that one. And now the police chief is resigning. Well, put it this way. She doesn't have to know who the chain of command is now or what that term means. Also, headlines. There's some good news. Now, again, I'll repeat this like I did over Thanksgiving. This is good news for your Christmas traveling holiday. I was told in the spring that no one was going to be able to afford gas prices to go see your loved ones for Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, or I was told that gas was going to be so expensive in this administration because what? Surrounded by people that don't know what they're doing. Yeah, remember that? That gas would be through the roof. Well, apparently it's under $3 a gallon nationally. Now, gas prices are bizarre. It's infuriating because it never seems to reflect supply and demand. And it'll change district by but nationally on average, it's below $3. This one was Fox. Everybody has the story. This was Fox Business yesterday.
Dollars a gallon in June of 2022. That, of course, in the Biden administration. $2.95 now. Investors are waiting.
That's another thing that didn't jive. I was told that no one would be able to afford gas. Pretty crazy. All right, let's wrap it up with this. I am told by the internet that today, that's right, today, is National Christmas Card Day. Didn't know this was a thing. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the person to actually talk about this too much, but I need some filler. I've never sent a Christmas card. Not once. Have you? Never once. Never sent one. Gotten a few. There are a few. There's still, probably 2 people in our friend circle and family that send the year-end wrap-up, month by month. Not even online. It's like a printed out version of it. It's like, here's what we did in February. In March, we went to the Grand Canyon. So that's not exactly a Christmas card, but an actual handwritten Christmas card, which, let me get this out of the way, I think is very, very nice. I think it's beautiful. I think great thing to do, but do you have to anymore? I mean, is this the thing you have to do? Anyway, it's National Christmas Card Day, and Time.com, that's right, the online outlet of Time Magazine, has some advice for you. They've written an article called How to Write the Perfect Holiday Card. Let's see what they say. Number 1, decide what kind of card you want to send. Yeah, okay. Personalize it. Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Unless it's like sometimes, you know who sends me the most Christmas cards? Car dealerships. I don't know why. Add a surprise. Why? What kind of surprise? Non-perishable? Cash? I don't know. Include the date. Okay. Decorate the envelope. Yeah. Insert it the correct way. Has this been a problem? Double check names. Yeah, that'd be something, huh? You have this surprise decorated Christmas card and you get the name wrong or spell it wrong. Finally, don't worry if you get it out on time. Okay, this is where this infuriates me. Then what the hell is the point of it? You know, we'll send out a Christmas card. You get it in like February. That's junk mail. That's not okay. You know what I'm thinking? Don't waste your time at a Christmas card. That's my takeaway on this. In fact, I don't think I will. What's so bad about a phone call? Maybe you could do that instead of writing a Christmas card. People who still write Christmas cards, I think are probably the same people who are still reading Time magazine, to be honest with you, who wrote this article. But you do you. I still think it's a nice thing to get one in the mail. I'll admit that, but I don't know. Never sent one myself. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you again. The takeaway from the featured story, you have to have the ability at any level in life, whether it's you as a manager, small business owner, manager in a corporation, or, yeah, that's true, the commander-in-chief, you have to have the ability to fire who you need to fire to get the agenda done. How and why this has become an issue is the exact problem with Washington, D.C., and why things don't work up there. So that's the takeaway. Also, thanks for finding me. I appreciate you. Audio podcast posted soon, wherever you like to get those, all platforms. Check out the YouTube channel for Wicked Radio 2. The complete replay is on there, as well as clips from the show and all the other social media stuff, too. First of all, make it a wicked awesome Tuesday. I'm going to go write Christmas cards. Just kidding. I'll talk to you tomorrow.